With that, I think I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order here at 5:04 p.m. I'll give a little brief intermission for roll call and attendance. Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and entertain a motion to approve the agenda from last week.
Judy, before you do that, because for the recording, it doesn't show everyone, it only shows the speaker. Can you do a verbal just of the members who are present?
Oh, of course. Here I see Brady Smith, Lacey Lampkins, Joey Bryant, Bjorn, I see Alice, Lucia, I see Evelyn, Sean, Lola, and Jessica. So perfect. And then I'll go ahead and entertain a motion to approve this week's agenda. Just give minutes. So moved. Awesome. See a motion from Evelyn. And a second from Bjorn. Awesome. So then we'll go ahead and move on to approval of minutes from last week. Entertaining a motion to approve.
So moved.
Awesome. I see a motion from Brady and a second from Alice. Perfect. And then we're going to go ahead and move on to reports, starting with myself. So hi, for everyone who hasn't met me, my name is Judy. I use she, they pronouns. I'm the chair for the S&A Committee. I'm also a student here at Central, of course, studying political science and public policy. Couple little kind of updates. I was previously working on a campaign. Now that's over. Fantastic. I was doing actually what they call ballot curing last week, so I wasn't able to make it. Thank you so much to Alice for covering me that week. But thankfully I'm back and fully, in the spring of things, which is awesome. Second, we do have 2 open spots still. So if you know anybody, feel free to conduct that outreach, get some recruitment going. We also have Bjorn, who will be graduating, and myself in March. So that could be a potential for open spots in March. So let's get that recruiting going.
I did recommend somebody today and put them in touch with Joseph, and they're talking. So hopefully we'll have another person soon.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you, Alice. That's great. Yeah, so that's all updates from me. We'll go ahead and move on to reports from advisors.
Yeah, thank you, Judy. So I just wanted to do a quick update on the annual reports that are due. Actually, we're due about 7 minutes ago. And so just as a recap, all of our base funded areas were required to submit their annual financial reports by December 1st at 5 p.m. So as an update, we have had a few that have requested an extension for about a week that we have granted a few departments due to some short-staffed situations and some sickness, people being out of the office. And we are only currently missing one annual report that hasn't had any communication. So that one right now is theater arts. But other than that, we have been in touch with the departments, and we've either received their annual reports, and we'll start reviewing those during December, and then in about a week we'll have the remaining ones. Is there any questions on that? Oh, yeah.
Did they use the same questionnaire that we used last year, or okay? That
Yep.
I'm seeing yes.
So as a reminder, there's 2 different things that they have to submit. One's the annual financial report, and then one's the program review. So the program review questions are the ones that are relatively new process from last year. And so those kind of go more in depth, and that is due January 3rd. So right after the break, they're going to be submitting those as well. And so this annual financial report is actually about last fiscal year and is pretty heavily on the finances and a little light on some of the program details. Great. Well, that's all that I have to report today.
The only thing I was going to add and then segue into mine. Oh, go ahead, Bjorn. Did you have a question?
Yeah, it was. Sorry, the question was, once we get to winter quarter, is there any possibility of us like amending or changing the program review questions?
So 2 parts that I'll jump in here with. To answer your question, let me give the other ones, because program reviews I'm going to say next. So one, just to clarify something that Lacey said, when she said will be reviewing them in December. She meant Lacey and myself. We're going to review and compile them, have them posted online and ready for when you all come back in January. And then you all will be reviewing them during our regular weekly meetings. Unless anyone wants to join us in doing the preliminary review in December on that side. The program review questions, there's kind of two parts here. One, we made some slight tweaks from them based on the feedback last spring, Bjorn. If you and Judy will recall some of the questions we had and some of the pieces. So there's some slight tweaks to it. We have already sent it out to everyone. It's currently due back January 3rd. Although I will say that was a set date. I've already had requests, one just recently from a S&A committee member on whether or not we'd be willing to entertain changing that date from the first date back from winter break to maybe the end of that week or so to give people some segue time. So I may bring that up as a discussion point here shortly if you all want to discuss or talk about that. The other just brief updates I had, again, one is a reminder, this is our last meeting for the quarter. Our next meeting will be January 5th as we come back. That's on the agenda, so you see it, but this quarter has gone very quickly. At least it feels like it to me. We do, as Judy mentioned, have 2 vacancies right now. We actually have a 3rd vacancy. I know ASCW is going to have an update here in a minute, so I won't jump on that. But with the update that Brady is about to give, Luis is no longer on the committee. So we have 3 student vacant positions. I've also reached out to our other student, Yuritsa, who's been appointed, but who has not been present at our meetings. I haven't heard any response back yet, but really checking to see if they're still interested and willing to serve. So there's at least 3, maybe 4 openings. If you have anything, please send them to me. I'm going to be working with Brady on some of these appointment pieces as they come up as well. But with that, I'll go ahead and end my report and you can pass it to Brady, Judy.
For sure. And with that, I'll go ahead and pass it to Brady with student government.
Thank you, Judy. So I guess I will start with, so we had a recent action on Monday. President Reyes appointed me as vice president permanently. As I think several of you, but maybe not all of you are aware, throughout late October and all of November, we had done a pretty extensive search for a vice president position or vice president applicant to fill that position permanently, since I was just serving as interim and my full-time position was Senate Speaker. But unfortunately, that came up with no applicants at the end of the day. And so since the Senate is pretty self-sustaining, and I've had the awesome privilege of having 2 senators to step up and help me with the Senate part of my duties. I am now going to be the vice president fully, stepping back from the Senate Speaker role, kinda. Still supporting them, but having the support of Evelyn and then another senator kind of help manage a lot of the Senate. So I will be vice president permanently for the rest of the year. And then I had other things I want to talk about too, but of course I forgot. And of course, like Joey mentioned, Luis will be stepping back. So as vice president is I will be filling all of our committees, hopefully. So trying to engage with a lot of students to get 3 more students on here. I know Alice just recommended 1, so that'll make my life easier. Thank you. And then other than that, ASCW is really just kind of, I know not too much of you guys' purview, but since you guys do fund us, most of our initiatives this year are focused around basic needs. So as we continue our work and as we see in our program reviews coming up in a little while, a lot of what we are doing is been trying to advocate as much as possible, working with the push pantry and university president to really deliver on basic needs for our students. So yeah, with that, I'll use my time. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Brady. That sounds great. Now we're going to be going on to communications received. I do have one. We had a student reach out to us from the Student Senate asking about, he's a senator, but he was reaching out about ICA and how they do their funding. Essentially, he was asking if he said that if the clubs have been told that they can't use their funding during the summer, so he was curious if that is something that is under the ICA's jurisdiction or S&A. So we went ahead and informed him that that is under ICA, because we just give them the funding and then they do the rules essentially. So that's one communication received on my end. Lacey, Joey, did you have anything you want to add to that? Yep. Perfect. Cool. And any other
communication received, but nothing to add to that.
Okay, perfect. Then we'll go ahead and move on to your communications received.
One, just as a brief update, just received this communication. Theater Arts did just turn in their annual report. So we got all the annual reports turned in or contacted asking for an extension, which is great. Always got to love when they cut it right to the wire or just a little bit over. The other communication I alluded to a minute ago, I was saving it for here in case anyone did want to make a motion on it, but really there's been requests from more than one, but the one specifically today about potentially moving the due date. So those program reviews, those are the 11 question questionnaire that were sent out to all the base funded units. They were sent it out back. Oh, now I'm looking at Lacey. I don't remember when I had sent them back out.
I'm going to say, I believe it was October.
In October. Okay, that sounds right. So they were sent it with the instructions. The original due date is set currently as 5 p.m. on January 3rd, the first day back for staff after the holidays. The communications were asking if we might be willing to push that due date back so it's not the first date back of the break. So I'm sharing the communication, but also would leave that open if anyone wanted to discuss or make a motion.
As in a motion to add something to our agenda today.
We could just, with the sake of it being under here, we can just go, you can make a motion to make that extension. If you want, you can motion to put it on the agenda if you would like, Brady.
Will we have to put it to a vote, or is it just motion second and then passes?
We'd have to do motion second and vote. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion. Oh, Judy, are you entertaining motions at this time?
Yeah, I'm entertaining motion.
I'd like to make a motion at this time that we extend the program review deadline from January 3rd at 5 p.m. to January 6th at 5 p.m.
Alrighty, we have a motion from Brady. Do we have a second? Second from Bjorn. Excellent. And I do want to encourage folks, since we only see one screen at a time on the broadcast on the website, just say second so that your face pops up, and that would be great so that people know who's talking. Great. So we have a motion and a second. So we'll go ahead and move into a vote.
Just for point of clarification, unless there's any discussion.
Oh, right. Any discussion?
I do have a question. Brady, what's your reasoning on moving from 3rd to 6th? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to provide some clarification. So I guess I'll start with as a student perspective. So ASCW, we're all students. So we actually, with the assistance of our advisor, Amber, and Joey, but they also, especially Amber, as the director of SLICE, has lots of other areas where she's doing program reports too. We're gone all winter break. And so the 3rd is, as I think we all know, the first day of the quarter. But also for all the professional staff, that's the first day of the quarter. So that's a chaotic day for everybody, but also it's right back from the New Year's holiday and Christmas break. And so I think it's just, instead of doing the first day back, I mean, it's still important that, I mean, they've had this deadline for a while. So like, obviously, you know, we don't want to let them procrastinate too much, but more than just, that's a chaotic day. I know personally as a student who will be helping with the program report, obviously with assistance of professional staff, but also as a professional staff, like just one less thing on that plate. And obviously we're all humans, we can all make mistakes. So I think it's really easy to slip off on that with the holidays coming up, and there's a lot of change going on in the university too. So just kind of giving people some breathing room that first week back with, you know, 9,000 students back on campus, you're all back from the holiday, weather's crazy. So just kind of not too much of an extra barrier or extra time, but the week, basically. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
That's great. Thank you.
Perfect. And do we have any more points of discussion? Alrighty, seeing none, I guess we'll go ahead and move into a vote. So do we start with in favor or against, Joey? Okay, perfect.
All those in favor?
Perfect. So all those in favor, go ahead and raise a hand or do a little hand icon, whatever works. Alrighty, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 in favor, or yeah, 5. Sorry, the boxes moved around on me. And then all against.
That is actually all of the voting members, Judy.
Right. So seeing none, perfect. Looks like the motion passes. Fantastic. So we will go ahead and, oh, do we have any more communications received while we're, no, perfect. With that, we're going to go ahead and move into public comment. Do we have any public comments for this week? Alrighty, seeing none, we're going to go ahead and move into new business, which there is none. And then, so we'll just skip over that into old business. So I'll go ahead and move over to Joey and Lacey to go over voting for the S&A policy changes, specifically the under expenditures and the unexpended salary proposed changes.
So Joey, do you want to kind of go over, because I think this might be the first time the committee's had old business.
Yeah.
So go through that process.
Nope. Yeah. So I'll give just again procedurally for you all. This is really, it was presented at the last meeting, the request and kind of the motion, a recommended motion that was there. This is the chance for you all, and you do it line by line. So the under expenditure first and then unexpended salary, for you all to open it for discussion items. So this is you all as the committee either asking questions of Lacey or myself as the ones who brought it up, discussing with each other on stating reasons you're either in favor of, not in favor of, and then ultimately, if we're wanting to proceed with the changes, someone would need to make a motion in a second and we would need to vote on it. So with that, I think unless there's anything you wanted to add, Lacey, I think it's really opening it up for you all to discuss. The under expenditure one was really the change. As a reminder, if you look in the policy, it currently is any under expenditures roll back at the end of the 4-year cycle. The recommendation was to change that for this fiscal year to roll back at the end of each year within the funding cycle instead of at the end, given kind of the reasons Lacey presented at our last meeting. So for you all to discuss amongst yourselves now that you've had a few weeks to ponder. Judy, I think there's a question from Brady.
Sorry?
He has his hand up on the camera.
Oh, sorry about that. Couldn't see. Sorry, 1 second. From from Brady, I see now. Sorry about that.
No, you're all good. I should use my virtual hand, I realized, but less people know. Just to clarify, we're only talking about under expenditures right now, or are we also talking about the expected salary?
For the sake of the order and to keep it clear, just the under expenditure part right now, and then after that, we'll move into unexpended salary, unless someone wanted to table the voting until you discuss both.
I guess my next question is, I don't know who this is for. I'm assuming Lacey. Is there oftentimes a lot of money left over at the end of the year that, like, would it be, like, is this change going to make a significant difference to departments?
I think that's a really good question. And I think without being able to specifically answer on behalf of the departments, what I would say is there tends to be a good chunk of money at the end of the year when you're talking about all 40 some base funded areas. And so what I would kind of suggest is that if this was to be something that is moved forward by the committee, we would definitely communicate this out to the base funded areas to give them an opportunity to let us know if there are things that we might not know about. And some of those examples could be commitments. So sometimes certain departments have contracts, and maybe that fund balance was supposed to pay for that. And so it would give those departments that opportunity to come to the committee and kind of converse in that way to let us know, because we don't necessarily know all the details that it would necessarily, like what that impact would be per program. Does that help answer that, Brady?
Yes, I think so. I mean, I definitely have more questions, but I think they're for individual departments and not necessarily you or anybody else here.
Yeah, go ahead, Joey.
I did want to add on, because I think this is relevant to the question you asked, Brady, but it wasn't necessarily what you asked. The other part, if we recall from a few weeks ago, is not only is it the amount, and again, coming back to the base funding, but also with where we're at as an institution with our debt service ratio, this is also helping to ensure that departments and programs are only able to spend their allotment for the year. If they want or need to spend more than that allotment, they can come to S&A and request, which still means it goes up to the CFO for review. So that way there's a higher level of, if they're going to spend more than their 1 year allotment, it has that viewpoint, versus if it stays in there, they could spend that, which could have an impact, especially if all 40 of them were to overspend on that on the university's debt service ratio.
Alrighty, and Lacey, I see a hand up.
Yeah, so Brady, you asked kind of like what that dollar figure is. It's hard to know what the end of this year would be, but to give you an idea, the end of last year, so fiscal 22, there was almost $1.8 million across the board between all 40 departments. So it can be significant depending on how the year goes.
That is very helpful. Thank you, Lacey.
So then if I understand that right, we're talking about moving it from a 4-year cycle to a 1 year cycle. Does that 1 point something million tend to compound over 4 years? So I'm seeing nods, which means that gets pretty big, huh?
Yes, so sorry, I was struggling with my mute button there for a minute. So yes, it can compound. Now it also means that certain areas could potentially be saving for a specific reason. And that's where it would be really nice to know if that's the truth, if that department would come forward and let us know. But it does tend to build over the years.
Alrighty, go ahead, Bjorn.
Regarding those relatively uncommon occasions where a department is saving up for some kind of big purchase, is there some way to like grant them an exception of some kind to this 1 year rollover policy?
Yeah, go ahead, Lacey.
So my suggestion to the committee on that would be to open up supplemental. And so if we were to roll back the fund balance, then we would open up supplemental to base funded areas and have them go through that process of requesting X amount of dollars for insert, their program reasons or needs. And then the committee would then be able to review it, discuss it, and move that forward up to the CFO and the president for final approval.
Alrighty, I see Brady's hand up.
Thank you, Judy. I just kind of want to voice kind of my opinion on this now that I've gathered some information, and like looking at what budgets, because I think a lot of what we pay for is student services and programs, and those programs and services should be offered every year to those students as they rotate through Central have the same opportunity. But also I understand that there are those saving up for things and contracts and stuff. So I think it makes more sense to make sure that the departments are using up their money that we give them every year to offer the same programs and services every year to the students. But then for those incidents where they need to save up and pay for something big, or make a big purchase or a contract or something, that's where they can use supplemental. Because also I'd rather personally, if a department is saving up for a new piece of equipment or a new big thing that they need to serve students, I'd rather them go to supplemental. That way that we can get it sooner. That way that can serve more students instead of them having to wait 4 years to save up that money. And then, okay, after 4 years, that's 4 years of students coming through the university of not being served by this new piece of equipment. Whereas if we were just to give the money from supplemental, that way that could serve more students quicker.
Thank you, Brady. Yeah, let's see. Do we have any more sort of points of discussion there? Yeah, go ahead, Bjorn.
Would this be in addition to the 10% across the board cut that we instituted last year? Or would it replace it?
I think that's a really good question, Bjorn. So it wouldn't replace the 10% reduction. So this means that the departments would still need to go through their 10% reduction of, or sorry, divisions. So the divisions would still need to go through that process. And then this would be anything that would be remaining after that.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Lacey. I see Joey's hand up.
And I think to add on there, again, for those who might be tuning in later, that's also because this is happening after the fact. So that under expenditure is happening after the year has finished. So these are areas to where if they made the 5% last year or 10% this year and still didn't spend their full allocation, that unspent money is what rolls back.
Thanks, Joey. And I see Lacey's hand up.
Yeah, and so to kind of tack on some real numbers with what Joey was talking about is last year, the S&A based on the departments took a 5% reduction and they still had almost $1.8 million left over. And that would be after that.
Perfect. Any more points of discussion? Going once, going twice. Seeing none, do I go ahead and entertain a motion here, Joey, or do we do both and then vote?
You can entertain a motion. We would need someone else because you as the chair wouldn't be able to make it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So I go to a motion and then we move to the next item. Perfect. Alrighty, so motion is, looks like Bjorn's making a motion. Do I see a second?
Not quite. I thought Brady already made a motion. Oh,
Brady
I'm sorry.
Opinion, but there was not a Brady's motioning to.
Oh, I see. Okay. In that case, yeah, I'll move to approve the under expenditure policy. I don't need to go into the specifics, do I?
You can say that your motion is to approve the recommended policy change to under expenditures.
Yep. I'm going to adopt the recommended policy change to under expenditures.
I will second that.
Awesome. So we've got a motion by Bjorn, seconded by Brady. And let's go ahead and move into a vote.
Well, this is where you'd want to make sure if there's discussion, and this is what I was going to say procedurally. This is the part to where, again, you all haven't had to vote on one of these before. So if for whatever reason, as we go into the vote, if you are in agreement with the vote, you obviously don't need to say anything. This is where, again, because this is a public meeting and it's transparent, if there's a reason that you're going to vote no or abstain, that you'd want to make sure to share and speak that voice so it's on the record within this. Again, not to say anyone is, but when we do these, that's where the discussion part is. You want to make sure to bring that up. So moving forward with the discussion, sorry.
Perfect. Thanks for that, Joey. Sorry, for some reason I always skip over discussion. But yeah, so any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move into a vote. So all in favor? Perfect. And any opposed? Alrighty, seeing none, motion passes. And then I guess we'll go ahead and move into the second item, unexpended salaries. So I'll go ahead and kick it back over to Joey and Lacey.
So just to go over a quick recap, the policy already states that any vacancies for 6 months, the salary savings would roll back to the committee. The recommendation is to change that potentially from 6 months to a single month. So if there's a vacancy for at least 1 month, that savings would roll back to the S&A committee. Just as a recap.
The only part I'd add with the recap is, again, this is to be consistent with changes happening with the rest of the budgets on campus, our state budgets. The other part, and this is not a recap, but to answer a question that may come from Bjorn based on his question a minute ago, this would not necessarily be in addition to the 10% reduction. They wouldn't get hit with the 10% reduction and unexpended salary. That unexpended salary would take away from that 10% reduction, if that makes sense.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Joey and Lacey. I see Brady's hand up.
Sorry, I have a lot of questions. I just have two. First is this is only affecting non-student staff, correct? Okay. And then my second, thank you, Lacey. My second question is what happens, so let's say, I guess right now we're with 6 months. So let's say after 6 months, this position is vacant, but on month 7th or 8th, they fill this position. What happens? Like, can they still pay that person? Like, do they have to request the money again?
That is a very, very good question, Brady. Thank you for that. And so what the answer to that one is that the money would be there to pay for that salary. So it's not the future months, it's just the months that position would be vacant. So as if they got hired in February, then they would already have that allocation for that.
Okay, so just to play this out, let's say a month goes by, they're searching for a candidate. They haven't found it after a month of a vacancy, a new candidate. That month's salary goes back to S&A, but they find the person month 2, month 3, and that money stops going back to S&A. Perfect. Okay, thank you.
And just for the sake of, again, the recording, if we can make sure that we verbally answer, or whoever's asking the question verbally responds to say yes or no.
That was correct, Brady.
I think even if you react like a thumbs up, that might show up. So perfect. So any more points of discussion there? Going once, going twice. Seeing none, I'll go ahead and move us or entertain a motion to approve the proposed changes regarding unexpended salary.
So moved.
Awesome. I see a motion from Brady. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded. Oh, sorry.
I'll speak you to it, Bjorn. We got a second by Alice. Perfect. So we'll go ahead and is there any discussion?
Most of my questions were already asked by other members of our committee.
Perfect. Going once, going twice. We'll go ahead and move into a vote. So all in favor, go ahead and raise your hand. Perfect. And any opposed? Alrighty, and with that, the motion passes. And I believe that's all the business we had for our old business. So I'll go ahead and move us into the second call for public comment. I'll go for it, Lacey.
Yes, I just wanted to say thank you. Since this is our last meeting for the fall, thank you all for participating. And I know finals week is coming up, so I wish you all the absolute best into finals week, and hopefully you all have a good holiday break.
Thank you for that, Lacey. Very sweet. Bjorn, I see your hand.
I had a quick question, and honestly, I've been here for 2.5 years, but I still don't know how to add something to the agenda. But it was a question about when we when they do the 10% cut, are they gonna like build on the 5% cut of last year, or are they gonna reevaluate like completely?
Go for it, Lacey.
Yeah, so the 10% is not going to be on top of the 5%. So they're going to look at it per year. And so like if one area took a 5% last year, that does not mean they're going to be taking more percent this year. It's going to be by division. And so it'll look maybe a little different each year, depending on how kind of all of it shakes out. Does that help answer that?
Yeah, that does. Once they decide on what the 10% cuts for the year are going to look like, can we like obtain a copy of that? Because I like to see the damage I've done.
Yes, you can absolutely receive a copy of that. That's actually going to be for last year for the 5%. We're actually going to see that in the annual reports that are going to come out in winter quarter. But then we'll be working on this fiscal year as well. That'll come a little bit later, maybe later winter quarter for that. So we'll kind of do last year first and then move forward.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. And I see Joey's hand up. Oh, Joey, looks like you're muted there.
It's because I clicked it and then I started talking without noticing it hadn't unclicked. I was just going to echo Lacey's sentiment about it being the last week and our last meeting. Again, good luck with finals next week. Also, please make sure to be safe. Try and stay warm for any who are traveling now or over the holidays. And if you do all need anything or have questions, do not hesitate to reach out. But really appreciate all of your work and effort this quarter. And also please talk to your friends or the people. You all, as I've said this before, are the best advocates for serving on this committee, because you all know what it is that gets discussed here and what your all's role is and the impact you all have. And so please help recruit and send any individuals my way or Brady's way, and we'll get them on here hopefully to join us at the start of winter quarter. But thank you all.
Thank you for that, Joey. I see Alice's hand up.
Yeah, I'd like to reiterate the in last meeting, it's been a pleasure to serve here with y'all. And I wear several hats here on campus, and I am telling everybody, I would love to have more peers here. This is a great committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. And I want to spread that sentiment as well, in not so many words as it's been spread. But yeah, no, good luck with finals. Be safe over the pass. Sorry about that. Love that. Perfect time for a phone call. But yeah, so be safe over the pass, all that good stuff. Washington State Department of Transit app is great. Excuse me. Yeah, be safe and thank you all so much.
You're gonna want
everybody and good luck.
and to adjourn. Thank you, Lucia.
Thank you, everybody, and good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you want to entertain a motion to adjourn it though, officially?
I sure do. Yep.
I'll second that.
Oh, so I'm entertaining emotions, or
Oh.
have we gotten a motion already, or?
Gotcha. I will present a motion to close down the meeting. Sorry.
You got it. Yeah. A motion to adjourn by Alice. And do I see a second?
Seconded.
Perfect. Alrighty. And seconded by Brady. With that, the meeting is adjourned here at 5:43 p.m.
Thank you all. See you all in January.
Bye-bye.